Welcome to Southwest Yard and Garden. I'm Curtis Smith. Today we're here in the shaded garden of Master Gardener Ron Jobe in the Albuquerque South Valley. Ron has created a shaded garden to reduce the effects of our intense New Mexico sunlight on his vegetables. Well, Ron, thanks for inviting us to your garden.
Curtis, welcome, welcome. Glad to see you down here.
Now, what caused you to come to building a shaded garden?
Well, several years ago I worked for the Forest Service in a tree nursery, and we had a shade house similar to what we have here. And we hardened our trees off under the shade house, taking them out of the greenhouse before we took them to the forest, and it worked well. And I used to grow a lot of tomatoes here, and they used to suffer from the Sunscald. And I thought I would try it, and I tried a small area out by the barn, and it worked there, so that's why I put this shade up here. There's a lot of advantages to a shade garden in Albuquerque. There's not much written on it yet, but it's certainly an advantage to me.
Okay, and you've had a lot of experience now. How many years have you done this?
Probably 12 to 13 years I've been doing the shade.
So you've got that. You said there are advantages. You've made a list of 10 advantages that you have from using a shade over your garden.
Right. And so I don't forget one of them. I wrote them down here because I have a tendency to do that sometimes. But number one, like I mentioned before, is a Sunscald. This almost eliminates the Sunscald problem on your produce. Peppers, tomatoes, chili.
As I recall, you at one time were trying to grow the purple or the very dark bell peppers, and they were invariably sunburned, sunscalded.
Yes, I think that if all the elements are right, that a dark pepper will scald in an hour, if all the elements are right.
And with the shade, you don't have that happen.
It decreases it in the dark peppers, but in the tomato area, it almost eliminates it. Okay, and also I got hail protection. We get a hail once in a while down here.
Nice protection.
Yeah,
to have.
And it's not total, but you save some of your produce, and it saves on water, less transpiration into the air. It keeps the plants cooler, and especially in the tomato category, because if the temperature gets around 100 degrees, it kills the pollen in the tomatoes, and you have to set flowers again and go again and set you back quite a ways.
That's the reason a lot of people don't have a tomato crop in the middle part of the summer, because it's gotten so hot. The pollen died, couldn't pollinate the flower, so you avoid that problem too.
Yeah, it does. It really does. Okay, and it's more comfortable to work out here.
It looks like
when you have to do your weeding or harvesting or whatever you're doing, it does make it somewhat more comfortable.
What's the temperature difference?
Well, we did a test, and you helped me with this test back in '91, and I appreciate it. And it opened my eyes very well. At that time, for the month of June in 1991, the temperature variance between the shade area and the sun was 6.1 degrees.
So it was 6 degrees cooler under the shade.
Right, and that was a hot month. June was in '91. But also, it's I think I have a deterrent to maybe the beet leaf hopper. I'm not sold on that completely yet, but that leaf hopper likes direct sunlight, and with the partial shade here, there might be somewhat of a deterrent to that. However, the curly top is a kind of a cyclical thing, and
the beet leaf hopper carries the virus from outside of the garden into the garden. And if the shade deters their coming into the garden, you can avoid the curly top virus problems.
Yeah, I think the jury's still out on that, but I believe it has some merit.
You've had less problems with it since you put the shade up. Right. But you've had some years you had a pretty good case of curly top.
Yeah, like last year. Yeah, last year everybody had it, and it was a problem. Okay, another advantage is with what I wasn't expecting was the temperature at night stayed warmer under the shade area than it did in the open area.
And here in New Mexico, because we're in a dry environment, we have wide temperature swings which aren't necessarily good for the garden.
Right, but what it does is it lets me go in from a week to 10 days to even 2 weeks earlier planting out my under the shade, because the temperatures at night will stay warmer and I get out of the frost pattern a little bit.
That would also give you some more growing season on the end of the growing season as well.
Right, that's
So it gives you them. Okay,
That's
so
on the list.
I'm reading your list, I guess, Ron.
It gives a longer growing season. That was my next one. Yeah, you picked me there. Also, I do grow quite a bit of transplants, especially chili pepper, and I harden them off out onto the shade out here, get them out of the greenhouse before I take them out to do it. And I know I'm sure there's other advantages here, but that's just some of them.
These are the ones you've enjoyed and
Right.
noticed pretty predominantly.
Yeah. This has worked well for me, and like I said, you know, you don't have to go to all this superstructure like I've got here. If you're a home gardener, a backyard gardener, why you can innovate and use shade that you buy out of a nursery store, or you can punch holes in a bed sheet, or take pasteboard, or what, you know, just something that the wind won't carry off from you. And I've done some experiments with this shade. I've tried to increase it and I tried to decrease it, and I figure that I get about 33% shade here, and that seems to be optimum for most of the plants. And in fact, everything that I've raised here, and I've raised most of the vegetables that there is to raise in New Mexico, and the only vegetable that I find that doesn't do as well under the shade is okra.
How did corn do?
Corn, it's a kind of iffy. I did get roasting ears off my corn.
Okay.
But whether they'd been better in the sun or not, I'm not real sure of that.
I would expect corn would really like the full sunlight, but
Yeah.
not going to be hurt too much by the shade.
Yeah, I still get produce out of it. But okra just takes a long time to bring it into a crop.
Well, Ron, thank you for sharing the information about your garden with us. This is beautiful, and I've always enjoyed coming out here, but this is nice to share with the people of New Mexico.
Well, thank you for coming, Curtis. I appreciate it.